Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Clark County Commissioner Segerblom is here for the whole show, coming to you from Las Vegas on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
I'm back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. It is a pleasure to welcome back to the program my good friend Segerblom. He's a Clark County Commissioner. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Let's start out with, because we're taping this right after the session has ended. You say this has been the most progressive session and so many things have gotten done. What are your highlights?
Well, there's obviously the mining tax, which is huge. There's the change in the funding formula for education, which we finally broke out of the Nevada plan. There's the single payer, the
public health option.
Public option. And then there's just a ton of little things that have been out there, we've been pushing for years. DUI for marijuana changed from the per se limits, the lounges, just all kinds of things that just stuck through under the radar that over the time are going to be huge.
So, the battle in the last primary for governor was between Chris G., who one would think was, the most liberal, but yet it turns out that Steve Sisolak becomes the most liberal.
I don't disagree. I mean, the reality is there's a side of him I had not seen before, but he will go down in history as the most progressive. It helps to have progressive legislature and work with them, but the fact is the unions are happy. I mean, if you're a Democrat, you have to be very proud of what's happened in the last two sessions.
There are a lot of people saying that a lot of what goes on in the legislature over the last few sessions is the National Democratic Party calling the shots on how the state should operate. Do you feel that?
I don't think so. I think it's these new legislators, and they are so progressive, so young and energetic, and then having the governor there to sign the bills, it just works. It's a symbiotic thing, but it's just working together, and the legislators really reflect the national mood as opposed to they're being told what to do.
Are you seeing, in your opinion, a social revolution in what's going on in our country at this point in time, and certainly being reflected here in Nevada?
I think so. I mean, obviously we're kind of on a tipping point, but I think the pandemic kind of froze everything. But coming out of it, you're going to see just a whole generation just moving forward. The millennials are just taking over. Women are taking over. People of color are taking over, and there's no going back. So I mean, Trump can sit there with his finger in the dike, but truly his constituency is just dying off by day, and this new group of people who want to be included are taking over.
And to add to that group, and I'm not sure if there's an inoffensive way to say this, but a variety of sexuality, things being discussed openly that had never been discussed before.
I am shocked. We were there. We did a lot of gay rights things, but when you see all these legislators coming out and saying I'm whatever I am, it's just phenomenal. But again, it just shows that there are no benchmarks anymore. It's everybody's kind of rethinking everything, and so we're coming together in a whole nother way, fitting together. But I see people getting along, moving forward, not prejudging anything. But if it works for you, then that's fine with me. Let's do it.
Interesting times, to say the least. A lot of us had to go to Google to Google some of these terms to understand exactly what they were talking about. One of the things that's going on right now is a debate, but in talking to my business clients, I don't think there is a debate that there is an incredible shortage of workers, and the majority of that is due to the benefits that are still coming from the federal government and from the states in terms of unemployment. And so the fight for $15 for a minimum wage has been won and exceeded by a huge multiple. I was talking to a casino operator in northern Nevada who's looking to spend upwards of $23 an hour to be able to get employees, because they can't get employees at this point in time. And this is for low-level positions.
Well, but remember, those low-level positions have to live somewhere. Reno, the housing costs have gone through the roof. So, I mean, these are really livable wages. And we said $15 an hour, which at the time seemed radical. I mean, that was basically a bare bones minimum. So if it's more than 15, that's great. And I don't think it's unemployment that's the problem, but a lot of people are coming back into these service economy. Do you want to be a waiter? Do you want to be a cook? Do you want to be a dishwasher? Do you want to be a maid when you're exposed to all these people? And have you been through what we've been through? So a lot of people are saying, you know, I want to think about this. And so they're going to put more money on the table to entice them back in, which is great, I think.
All right, but now philosophically, it seems like we're turning the employer-employee situation on its head. And how long does that last? Because it seems to me there's going to be a certain leveling out as people do come back into the workforce, and you know, these numbers are not sustainable.
Well, I think they are sustainable.
Really?
Yeah.
So where do you see the? Okay, fair enough then. You're saying $15 is barely livable. Where do you see the minimum, whether it's a minimum wage number or just a number? Is it $23 an hour, $25 an hour? And how many businesses will not be able to survive that kind of cost?
Well, I don't think. I mean, a lot of what's happening is technology, so efficiency. But the reality is that our economy, for better or worse, sets that level. I mean, hopefully $15 is the floor, because that is a survivable wage, hopefully. But at the end of the day, if it's 25 or 30, they can pass that on through. The key is, you know, there's so many people who have made billions and trillions. Let's have some of that come back and help just the ordinary person survive. And hopefully we get, you know, that family medical leave, all that stuff too, so that people can actually raise their family and enjoy the quality of life. We have been we've run the poor so ragged trying to survive on $7 or $8, $10, that a lot of the quality of life at that level has just disappeared, and we need to bring that back so everybody can enjoy some of the benefits.
That's another social revolution, because it's in a way changing the way America has functioned. I, as an immigrant from England, came to America as the land of opportunity. My first job was as a gopher on a construction crew. My initial pay was $3.50 an hour until the boss saw me sweeping and said, oh yeah, it's $2.50 an hour. And so that was my wage, was $2.50 an hour. But I worked 70, 80 hours a week, managed to save money, move on up. It seems like we're taking away that portion of it for people who already live in America, but for people who are looking to come here from Guatemala or from other places, it seems like, they're still looking for the old American dream.
Well, if they want to work 60 or 70 hours, and many of them do, I mean, I see that everywhere. If all the immigrants, legal or illegal, left, this town would drop. We couldn't survive. That's what keeps us going. So to the extent we can make enough money to survive, or they can work more hours, or have 3 jobs, that's up to them. But the reality is, if you should be able to work 40 hours a week and survive and raise your family, and not destroy yourself in the process.
All right, so it's a different version, well, 2 different versions then of the American dream.
Well, I don't think so. I think one of the things the pandemic has done, though, is forced all of us to think about how hard do we want to work, where do we want to be in 10 years or 20 years, just questioning life and the role of the government, the role of employers. And a lot of people have said, maybe I won't work so hard and let's enjoy life a little bit. So, because we never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
But that really is a huge change.
Well, again, I think looking back at this pandemic, which has been just a total nightmare, you're going to see that the changes for our society were pretty significant just because of that. But it also fits into this idea of the baby boomers leaving and the millennials taking over. But between those 2 things, we are going to view society differently. And I think that means that rich are going to have to pay more in taxes, and businesses are going to have to offer more, both in benefits and in wages. So
I agree with you that the rich can certainly afford to pay more taxes, but you know as well as I do that the biggest place to get money is not the rich or the poor, but the middle class.
Well, not as far as government goes. I mean, there are so many gazillionaires out there that can afford. I think they're saying that just if we force the rich to pay the taxes they actually owe, it's $1 trillion more a year in taxes. It's phenomenal how they avoid taxes, both by just ignoring them and then also doing offshore things and moving things around different countries. So there's a ton of money out there that we can just grab without the middle class suffering at all. What's interesting is that if you said $1 trillion 10 years ago, everybody's jaw would drop and we'd be really excited about that much money. But the way the federal government has been spending money, both during the Obama administration, the Trump administration, and now the Biden administration, $1 trillion is what $1 billion was 20 years ago. And $1 billion was what $1 million was when I was growing up. So they definitely have exponentially grown. But the reality is, I mean, we can take $1 trillion or take a couple of trillion and let's spend it. Let's build things. Let's hire people. Let's train people. Let's pay for education. I mean, there's just so much that we can do to make our society better, and really look at Europe as the model. But I'm very excited about the future. Where in Europe is the model? Well, I'm Swedish, so I would say Sweden. But Germany's pretty good too. All right. Let's take a break. More with Tick Segerblom when we come back.
Enjoy exceptional value and a comfortable atmosphere at the all-new Nevada Steak at Tamarack Casino. Great food, fine wines, and delectable desserts.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you. But we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for Season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
You're in with every gangster and hoodlum in the United States. I don't go for that, Mr. Kennedy. I don't go for that kind of action.
I was on television accused of fronting for the mob.
Subscribe to Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, Season 2, today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and YouTube. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Clark County Commissioner Tick Segerblom. Okay, I got to ask you about this. So you ran to be state party chair, and you were beaten by Judith Whitmer in that contest. And the word came out that you were the establishment and you weren't liberal enough. I've known you a long time. There are not too many people more liberal than you. What did you think of that? And what do you think of Ms. Whitmer?
Well, first, with as far as Judith goes, she's definitely a well-intentioned person, and philosophically or politically, I don't think there's much difference between us. So it really was more of a question of somebody like me who's been around, who has a name, but would basically be a figurehead type person, as opposed to her who wants to be like an executive director. But it was kind of fun to be labeled the establishment and the conservative in that kind of a race. But, you know, I guess in the Democratic Party, you never want to be the conservative.
To say the least, but I mean, that was probably one of the most shocking results. Also, her comments about the whole Palestinian-Israeli thing, is that appropriate for a state party chair to comment on international affairs rather than just supporting the party?
I mean, I think she's learning. I remember when I was party chair for 4 years back in the 90s, and I remember saying a few things, and Steve Wynn calling me up and screaming, and you quickly learn that no one wants to know what the party chair thinks. All you want to do is raise the money and you know, smooth things over. So I think she's probably learned a lesson, but her comments themselves were not that bad. I mean, the truth is the whole Israeli-Palestinian thing has really changed dramatically in the past several months. So it's but again, you learn. So let's give her time, and I'm sure she'll work out of it.
And interesting that you refer, of course, to Steve Wynn back in the days when he was a Democrat.
Yeah, and I remember I proposed. I got something from the DNC saying we're doing a tax increase on capital gains, and so I issued a press release about how Steve Wynn was going to have to spend more, pay taxes, like $30 million in taxes, and next thing I know, he's calling me, screaming at me, "What are you doing?" So again, that's one of those things you just learn the hard way. As party chair, your job is to kind of keep a low profile, in my opinion, and kind of smooth things out and talk to everybody, as opposed to being the candidate yourself. But maybe she's different.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back with Tick Segerblom after this timeout.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Located in the heart of Carson City, the Bank Saloon, a historic watering hole with a modern feel. With a variety of classic cocktails, featuring Nevada spirits, space for private events, conferences, and an incredible atmosphere. The Bank Saloon offers a great location to work and play. Come visit us. Located at the corner of 5th and Carson. We'll save you a drink.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down, when Nevada Heating can get the job done today, and you can get cool again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Clark County Commissioner Segerblom. You wrote an editorial about the Utah water pipeline, and explain to people what was concerning to you about what's going on in Utah and what they could learn from Nevada.
Well, first, they wanted to take water out of Lake Powell and pipe it over to St. George when they don't even have water meters in St. George. So one thing they need to learn is that there is a limited amount of water, and we need to start conservative, making sure we use it wisely, and then start to monitor how we're increasing it. So it was a bad decision. But the bigger issue, obviously, is the fact that water is declining. And if this drought continues, everybody in the Southwest, all 7 states in the Colorado River Basin are going to have to learn how to conserve. And frankly, Las Vegas is the leader in that effort as far as understanding limited grass and the things we're kind of trying to do. But we're in for a different future.
What kind of response did you get from people in Utah?
Well, it depends on who you talk to, but the people in St. George obviously is like, this is our water, we can do what we want to. And frankly, Utah doesn't use all the water it could use under the compact, so that's pretty scary. If all the upper basin states start actually using that water, Lake Mead's going to dry up in a second. So we got to make sure, we got to encourage them not to use the water, let it come down here, figure out some way we can reimburse them or encourage them to let that happen. But half the river, they could actually just keep up above Lake Powell, and if they did that, we're all in trouble.
And over the last few years, actually the last probably couple of decades, the states along the Colorado River have worked very well together to manage the river. So it was kind of surprising to read about this.
Right, but manage it in a way that's beneficial for us. And so people in Utah are saying, wait a minute, that water is valuable. Let's take some of it and use it for our growth as opposed to let Las Vegas grow. But it's a bigger issue. The Colorado River Compact basically encourages each state to use the water as opposed to conserve the water, and so we need to kind of rethink the whole process. But it's going to be a major issue the next several years, decades. Right?
Were you surprised to read that Pat Mulroy was up for the top job at the Metropolitan Water District in Los Angeles?
I actually had not seen that, but.
Yes, she came in second, but the decision has not finally been made yet. But Pat is one of the hardest working people I know, and apparently has no desire to slow down.
Yeah, well, it'd be a good career move for her, and she definitely knows where the bodies are buried and how it all works. I disagree a little bit with her as far as her promotion of using water as opposed to conservation, but I'm sure that she's can change her whole view on how that works out. So that's going to be the future is not going to be how to use water, it's how to save water.
Yeah, and it's interesting, having followed this for so many years now, the discussions about what to do about the Colorado River and the water and all the states along it. Lots of great ideas, but really long-term in the planning. I mean, to reuse groundwater in Los Angeles, I mean, that's a 30-year project. They haven't even started on it yet.
Yeah, the reality is we just have to try to slow down on growth and just learn how to maximize what we have. But
you're saying this at a time when you know that there's going to be 1 million more people in the Las Vegas Valley over the next decade or so.
Yeah, but are they going to be in the valley? We're already talking about building a pipeline to state line going to California. We're talking about building a pipeline to Apex, which is 30 miles to the north.
They're doing. I mean, John Ensminger was on the program talking about the planning process.
Yeah. So I'm saying, but the reality is the water is shrinking, and then we're already building these huge pipelines out to who knows where. So my whole thing is let's focus on growth in the valley, because here we can conserve it, we can go up as opposed to out. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
And there were going to be a lot of water bills at the session, and it turned out the only water bill that went through was Southern Nevada Water Authority's one getting rid of grass in the medians, which will save a ton of water.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and we have a lot we can save, but at the end of the day, this drought is really scary. If you look at the water flow coming down and the projections going forward, we're just going to have to live with less water. The good news is we build a pipe under the bottom of the river, so no matter how low the water gets, we'll always have our water. But it's going to be pretty bad for the foreseeable future, maybe forever.
Well, I'm more of an optimist than forever. Quick answers to 2 questions: governor's race and the Senate race in Nevada.
Catherine Cortez is going to win handily. She's very popular, a great candidate. Lots of national attention going to come in here, so make sure that voter turnout's high, which is what she needs. And Sisolak, frankly, is very popular too. People don't appreciate how popular he is. Everybody in the Democratic Party loves the guy. Again, it's going to be a good reason to vote. If we get a good turnout, he's going to be the next governor. He will be reelected as governor.
And that's where we have to leave it. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Brian Kulpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Kulpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at briankulpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Don't forget, another way of watching Nevada Newsmakers is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.